Okay, guys, it's Cindy from Cindy's Art. It's so good to see you. And I have been MIA for a while. Oh my gosh, winter hit. I'm in Michigan, and it has been awesome. But I've been working on some watercolor lessons, and I did an easy ocean watercolor beach lesson earlier this week that I want to share with you. And so I thought, well, I'm going to go live because it'll make it easier for me to get this out to you. So I appreciate your grace as you're joining in and watching me learn how to share my screen and show you this video that I'm actually editing in Final Cut Pro. That's the program and application I use in order for me to edit. I want to go ahead and get this started. Some of you who are with me, you know that I actually have been working on figuring out how to do this with you. So let's hope that this one is working. I want to get you into my Final Cut Pro, and I'm going to just expand this video so that way we can get moving into this. But I used a 4x6 piece of paper today. And when I did this piece of art, and I used this pencil, all I'm doing is sketching out the shoreline part of the wave. I needed something super simple. And I put a few lines in there. Where's the horizon? Where's the beach? I sketched it out, and then I used a crayon. And I've used this in other videos. A crayon is wax. It will block out the paper from getting paper or getting paint. And so I will use that. It's a great, easy, even a beginner trick. But listen, for as much as I've done it, I will continue to use it. And it allows you to protect some of that paper and some of the foam that you want to see on a beach. So try it. It's just one of those other tools. And then what I'm doing is wetting only the ocean area, not the sky and not the beach. Because when I put my watercolor down, I wanted to only spread into the ocean. Continue. There we go. All right. So I'm going to add in my colors, and what I'm adding in is a little bit of a horizon blue, and a little bit of marine blue is in there. And then I'm also adding in a little bit of yellow ochre, and that yellow ochre, excuse me, with the horizon blue, it almost looks like a gray tone. And I want that, and I want that yellow tone because when you're closer to the shore, hello, you've got sand underneath of that wave. So I like to put a tiny bit of that yellow ochre in there and let it just go. So as I've laid out a little bit of my color, you can see this water sheen that's on my paper. And I'm going to start to add in more of my peacock blue. That's actually peacock blue and marine blue. Oh, excuse me, ultramarine. Ultramarine blue deep is what I'm using right there on that top horizon line. And my paper is wet enough where that's going to blend in. It's just going to begin to mix by itself. And you can see that I am using Arches watercolor paper. And I've got the back of the pad of paper where I taped my 4x6 size on the back of. Use whatever you can. It's a nice hard surface. I lay my paint down. I can tip the paper. My paints will run because they're mixing because of gravity. So use what you want to do. Right now, I'm using a marine type of blue that goes into the picture. And I'm looking for where's the light part of the wave. And where the light part of the wave is, I'm not painting anything. I'm leaving it stay that blue or that whitish tone that I've got there. Then I'm adding in these gray tones. That's a little bit of marine blue with a little tiny bit of neutral. My paper is drying, so it's easier for me to clean it up and direct and tell this paint where I want it to go. And sometimes you'll see me run my paintbrush over top of an area I want to remain white. I hardly have any water on that brush at that point. And what I'm doing is just pulling up some of the extra paint that I don't want there. Now, when I move towards the beach, I'm using a little bit of burnt umber. This is wet on wet again, and you'll be able to see that by the sheen that's on my paper, and plus the paints blend easily. And I'm just adding a little bit of my darker tones underneath the wave, and then towards the beach. and I've got a little bit of light color in there. The light color is the yellow ochre. And I do find for myself, I do enjoy a tiny bit of permanent orange and like a dot of quinacridone scarlet. I add that into this beach color. It just, I like it. I just feel like it's very accurate. So once I get that laid down, I'm going to jump up to the sky. Let me tell you why. The beach is wet now. I don't want to touch that, and I can't work on the wave because the beach has got to dry. So I'm switching up to my sky. I have two colors, guys, just two. And I used a cerulean blue, excuse me, and I used a tiny bit of violet in the very top. Listen, if you're a beginner, just get that wet on wet method down. And what's beautiful about that sky is you got the violet off to the right, and then you've got the cerulean blue, and it's wet. It's just going to mix together. And that's a beautiful wash. And then we're going to move down to an area that's dried now, which is the beach area. And I'm using a little bit of neutral. You can use a little bit of Payne's gray or use a little bit of neutral with that burnt umber. And a wave has a shadow. When it's hitting the beach, it's got a shadow. So I'm using a tiny bit of neutral to emphasize that. And then I'm also adding the shadow in the wave. And I'm just going to tell you, that's a tiny bit of neutral plus a tiny bit of that permanent violet. That's what I used in order for me to create that shadow there. So once I finished that, my sky for me is still drying, and I added water on my ocean. And I was very careful to make sure the painting was dry enough for me to add these colors like up towards the top. This is the ultramarine blue deep, and I am adding it lighter and lighter and lighter, which means I'm going to use ultramarine at the top, then some peacock blue. I love peacock blue. I just love the color into the ocean, and I'll tell you about that in a second. Then I'm adding some marine blue. Then I'm going to move back into horizon blue as we move down towards the beach. So I love to paint oceans because I went and visited my son when he was in Hawaii with his wife, and I was able to visit Hawaii a couple times. And my son and I did shark diving. We were in a cage and we were able to see the ocean below. I had never seen it below. And the best color that I can find that matches it is ultramarine blue deep with a little bit of that peacock, and then maybe a tiny, tiny bit of permanent violet. So I love that blue. I can't get enough, and I can't wait to go back. I want to go shark diving again in a safe environment. It was very safe. So as you see that I am adding in another layer of colors at the front part, I'm using some marine blue, horizon blue. You're starting to see this, take my mouse, but in these areas, if you can see it, the white will not go away. It doesn't matter what I do to it. Crayon is wax. And because it's a white crayon, hello, you're going to have white lines. And what I would encourage you is to have a nice sharp crayon. If you're starting off with watercolors, use a crayon, use something like that to block it out. So that way you protect the foam, and it makes it nice and safe. Like right now, I need to add in blues into these, the front part of the wave, and these little like cells that are created. I've looked at waves for hours. So I love the webbing. There's just all these colors. Well, I want to add in color into that webbing type of network that happens at the front part of a wave. And a crayon is a great way to start doing that, especially as a beginner, because you can't mess it up. But I can add some darker blues in there if I wanted to, and it'll just continue to make the wave pop. Let's go back to the painting. So I've got a beautiful basic layer of paint. I've got the sky, the beach, and the ocean kind of pretty nice. Now I need to add in a little bit of detail. So I want to look at where the darker part of the waves. I have to look for the crest of a wave. That's going to be light. Dark colors are going to follow underneath because it's curved. So I've got to find a way to add that in. I look to add in only about one third of the painting is going to have some of that wave structure, not much at all. It's a good method, to use when you're adding in details. Get the basics, add a third detail in, and then for that third, add the next bit of detail in, and your painting is finished. I cheat sometimes. I'm just going to tell you, I love to add detail. Here I am playing, adding a tiny bit of, that is a tiny bit of marine blue mixed in with a tiny bit of ultramarine. And what am I doing? I'm just playing. I'm adding a little bit of lines in the background. I could have added a lot less. If you're newer to it, add in a little bit less than what I did. I just get into painting and I have fun. And I just go, this pen is a jelly roll and it's a number 10. I have a 10, an 8, and a 5. And what I'm doing is drawing out some of that webbing that I love. And I am giving myself an idea of like, okay, where are the white parts of the wave and where's some of that foam going to go? So I sketched that in, and then I used a paintbrush with a little bit of P.H. Martin. And that is a white, it's not even a gouache, but it is a white watercolor, technically paint. And I will put a little bit of this on my paintbrush and I will side swipe it. I'm scraping the brush on the paper, and I'm also using the tip at times. And I'm doing that because I want foam. I want lots of foam. So I will use this P.H. Martin. It's super bright. If you made a mistake on a painting, you could put this on that mistake and then you could possibly paint over it. But if I needed to have white, this is what I'm going to use because it really blocks out what's underneath. If I made a mistake, P.H. Martin is my solution. So I'm going to start to look at final details for my painting. And I've got to look at, all right, I've suggested to you that I've got these waves in the front. I do want to add in a little bit more color with the shadows. And you can see I add the lines in pretty strong. Then I come back with a very, very damp brush and I actually fade out some of that shadow. And I would use a tiny bit of neutral, but I would use a little bit of the ultramarine blue deep to create that shadow that's in there. I use a little bit of neutral straight on the darkest parts of the waves on the beach front. And then I'm going to go back and just make sure that where the waves are, like I feel like I would need a little bit more blue, a darker blue in there. So once I'm done, I'm going to pull up my tape. This is a 4x6 card. And I could wind up putting this on a 4x6 gift card, give it away, make prints, sell it. I just enjoy watercolor painting. And when I need to play, this is what I do. I will get my pen back out, I'll doodle. And you could put this video on slow so you could check out some of the webbing that I'm creating because there are lines that kind of go diagonal and they go down into the wave and into the front. I love the way that that looks on a wave. So I finished this up and I probably will just do a giveaway on this. I have some smaller paintings, but they're cute. And I could do this painting this exact same way, but break it up. I would use a 6x9 piece of paper. I would use some of my tape and tape it off into like 4 different sections, paint this on a very large sheet of paper, come out with some bookmarks, cut them up, give them away as friends. So I'm going to stop sharing in this in a second. That painting probably took me 40 minutes. I would say it could take you 20 minutes total. Let me see, I'm going to stop that. Let me get you back to me and let's go full screen on me. There we are. So I would possibly put that into bookmarks. I've done that for myself. I've got my own ocean bookmark specialty from just because I love the ocean and it just fits me for my bookmarks. You could give them away, but this painting could be very simple. Doing a simple wash on the sky like that, that's great practice because you want to be able to put 2 colors together and let them blend together, let gravity do its work. The ocean, I would put in your basic colors like we did, and then use some of those darker colors to go underneath of the wave. Protect where the top of the wave is, so that way you can practice getting colors underneath. And then when I go to the top of the wave and I'm going backwards towards the horizon line, I'll add slowly some darkness there. So that way I can, bring the illusion of this wave that's coming towards you. And then the beach area, I like the crayon for blocking. You can add a few tiny dots into the sand with like maybe a little bit of neutral, but use that brown. Or you could take two brushes and you could tap them. You could take two brushes, you could tap them with a tiny bit of paint, go very slow with that, or a toothbrush. I'll show you that in another video. And I think the easiest way for that foam is just use the crayon, sharpen the crayon so that way you can add as many lines as possible, so you get the feel of like, listen, you put wax on paper, water's not going to go into that, but you can paint around it, you can add colors, and you can make this super vibrant. You'll see those colors even darker. Have fun with the experiment. I think I am going to go ahead and sign off for now, but check out my page and be sure to like this video if you enjoyed yourself. And if I gave you a few tips, please put the comments in the comments section. I am new to doing the live, so I will check and see what you said. Hopefully you said nice things, but check out my other videos. I'll slip some in here and edit it and add some extra cards in. I do have a lot of videos on ocean watercolors. The one that's seen the most is got the crayon method, but then I also have a 4-part series I did 2 months ago. That one, I don't know, I might have spent about 8 hours on it, but I broke it into 4 videos and broke it down so that way you could paint something that's realistic, a beautiful ocean watercolor rock. So it was good to be with you. And if this works successfully, you might see me more this way on YouTube. I'm doing a live video here and there, giving you tips. Put your comments in the comments section. All of my supplies are listed in my description and the paints. Feel free to comment, give me information that you want me to know what you're working on, and I'll see what I can do. If I've got something in my toolbox that I can share with you, I will do that. So I will look forward to seeing you guys next time.